hang on, maybe not. Alright, so it's been a few weeks. Gonna try and finally get around to wrapping up the wheel hub and brake repair on the Outlander there behind me. Got some work I gotta do tomorrow, running a man lift. I'm going to use it to go ahead and move it around 2 different properties I'll be going to, mine included. Probably a little less talking in this video. I'm going to go ahead and just get down to the nitty gritty, kind of on a time crunch, and get you guys set up, get where you can see everything, and I'll speed up and slow down what you need to, and if I need to say something, I'll say it. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, I know I said I wasn't going to talk too much here, but last we left off, I had taken the rotor and the hub assembly here into work and used the press there, measured the studs, got everything assembled here. I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the hub, but what I did notice there is the rotor did get a little bit of damage here. There's some dings along the edges, and I'm just going to go ahead and take the grinder, take those dings out, that way I don't chew up a pad. Other than that, nothing really wrong with the rotor. I said wasn't a whole ton that I actually had to really take off there. You'll see some fresh grind marks there just on the outside edge. That's just to kind of bring some of the material that was mushroomed out there on the lip. Get that thing pretty close to parallel. I mean, after all, this is an off-road machine. So that. This axle nut is 151 foot-pounds. I'm just going to snug it up for purposes of assembly, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the final torque once the tire is on the ground. remove a little bit of paint off of that. Alright, I messed up. I installed the caliper bracket like you would in an automotive vehicle. The bracket, the brake pads, the caliper all need to be installed prior to actually being put on the hub. So that's what I'm getting ready to do. Go ahead and just remove everything again. Alright, so you take your caliper bracket, slide your caliper on your slides, the 2 pins there, make sure you lube them up. That way your caliper stays moving freely. Then you'll just insert your brake pads in each side. There's a little bit of a retention clip here that keeps some tension inside anti-rattle clip, and then you'll lock the brake pads in place with the pin up to the top of the caliper. There's a cotter key for a lock. And then you go ahead and just thread your caliper bolts into the back side of your hub, and installation's done. We'll just have to switch the brake hose over and bleed the brakes real quick, and we'll be ready to ride. Alright, so I got both pads put in. So go ahead and lock them in with a pin. Install the cotter key. Alright, we're going to try to do this as quick as possible to minimize fluid loss. If you want to make sure you keep everything clean, keep the dirt out of your sealing surfaces. Keep track of your copper washers. So your banjo bolts are hollow, which then means that they're also a tad weak. You know, tight's good, but tighter is better. Does not apply when you're dealing with brake systems. We'll see if that'll go ahead and gravity bleed. It always helps when you're trying to gravity bleed things if you actually let atmosphere into the master cylinder, so we're going to go ahead and take the cap off. Alright, we got fluid. So the Outlander XMR has got 3 calipers on it, doesn't have 4. But the front and rear brakes are tied into each other. So if you have to do any type of brake service and you want to make sure that you don't let your master cylinder run out of fluid. You do that, and then you are bleeding the entire system. You know, it's no longer just one corner. Really, anytime a system's open like this, you should bleed all 4 corners, but well, in my case 3. I don't really have any help right now, so you do the best you can with what you got. So you can go to any auto parts store, get your brake fluid. You don't have to go to a power sports place of business to get you the fluid that you need. Clearly states right on the filler, sorry, not the filler, the cap for the master cylinder, that .4 brake fluid only, sealed container, which brand new. So the reason you have to do a sealed container, unless you actually know the age of this fluid, it's referred to something as being hygrophobic. It'll actually absorb moisture from the air. Yeah, so if this were to sit uncapped on a high humidity environment, it'll actually pull moisture into the fluid. And when you have moisture in a brake system, in a sealed brake system, especially if you get hot, you can actually gas, and then you lose brakes. The next thing is that you know, water, obviously corrosion. So you can actually start corroding the inside of your calipers. It'll affect seal surfaces. You end up with leaky calipers. You end up with rusty brake lines. Say it's like an automotive system. Rusty brake lines are never a good thing, especially when they come from the inside out. But we're going to top it off, let this thing drip a few more times. We'll pump it up, see what the brake lever feels like, and we'll figure out a way to pressure bleed it. Probably find something that's a little elastic and wrap it around the handlebar and the lever a couple times, and then crack your bleeder screw. So when you're bleeding your brakes, especially handling brake fluid like this, you want to make sure that doesn't sit or stay on painted surfaces too long. Like, so if you have an automobile finish or something like that, something that is really critical that stays shiny, not dull, in good condition. Don't let the brake clean come in contact with it, or not, sorry, brake fluid come in contact with it. And if it does, rinse it immediately. So what I did here was when you're bleeding your brakes, you know, the reason it takes 2 people is because somebody has to hold the lever or the brake pedal. You can't let the piston stroke backwards after you expel the fluid, because it'll actually pull air back in through the caliper and up the line instead of refilling the piston up at the master cylinder. So what I did is, since I'm here by myself. I got a piece of TIG wire, wrapped it around the handlebar, and then pulled the brake lever tight and latched the brake lever with that piece of TIG wire. So that'll hold pressure in its current state. When I open the bleeder, you know, the fluid will come out, but it also won't let the brake lever return. So then my air won't go rushing back into the system. Just a little pop of air. As you get air out of the brake system, your lever will actually get much firmer. So I got another pop of air. Now straight fluid, pump it back up. And you just repeat that process until you no longer get air, nothing but straight fluid. I'm going to go ahead and check all other brake calipers while I'm doing this. The less you can open up your system, the better. So this machine, the brakes have never been fantastic on it. The master cylinder, particularly the parking brake, it actually bleeds off, and it has since it was new. So I don't know if that has anything to do with something internal, you know, with the brake system, or if that's just leftover air in the system from assembly. So if there is leftover air, you know, we're gonna see if we can get that taken care of. Looks like straight fluid, but we're going to try it a couple more times, see if there's an air pocket that purges. So you can see this is my little rig up here. That's how I held the brake lever in place. So critically, it's just you keep tension on it and you make sure it doesn't let go. So you hook it behind the handlebar, you just pull in tight enough, hook the lever, and you let go, and that's that. So we've bled all three corners. There's no extra air from anywhere else, so I'm going to go ahead and just top off my brake fluid here, install the air bladder, and then put the cap back on, and the brake system will be good as new. Well, we'll take that back. Hopefully better than new. Like I said, straight from showroom floor. My parking brake bled off, so I doubt that'll fix this, but this will fix that. A little bit of a pro tip. Not saying I'm a pro or anything, but rather than removing the entire seal, you just poke a couple small holes, one for the fluid to come out of, one for the fluid to vent. Makes it a little bit easier to control your flow coming out of the bottle. Also, not so much of a pro tip, because it makes a freaking mess. this thing's designed, well, actually the way that most brake systems, scratch that, the way that all brake systems are designed, they use this bladder here as an air barrier. As your pads wear, it's going to displace fluid, because that fluid's going to wind up in your caliper pistons. So as the fluid level drops, it's going to have to create an area of low pressure up top here. So in order for that to do that more effectively, they've got air bladders here that they'll drop down with the fluid level, and it'll let fresh air in the top side without actually contaminating the brake fluid below. Don't worry, folks, I'm a trained professional. Of course, it doesn't line up with a cotter pin hole. Why would it?